virus Omicron. Falcon hates puns and thinks that they're all wrong. One's American and one is an Aussie. Talking about StarCraft 2 and the esports scene.
Hello, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you kindly. Good to be here on yet another wonderful podcast day.
As it is always,
Yes.
isn't it?
'Tis always a good podcast day.
Where everything works 100% of the time and nothing goes wrong 2 minutes before the show.
No, definitely not. Especially not if you're relying on wireless headphones. Nope.
Yep, no wireless headphones here. Perfectly. Where's the wire? I don't know. Somewhere else, I guess.
It's invisible. Invisible wire. It's there
Yes.
though. We promise.
Yep, it's the invisible wire. Ugh. How have you been?
Been all right. Still can't fully kick whatever the crap this illness is.
Same.
I swear I'm like I've been 99% for like 2 weeks now, and it's just like I'm better, and then I'll just have this coughing fit. Blah, 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 blah. Oh wait, I forgot. I'm not better.
I was feeling better up until yesterday for like a week, and then I'm like, I woke up and I'm like, ooh, what's that? That's phlegm, and I need to go blow my nose 1,000 times. Thanks. So that's been joyous. I'm like, this has come back. Yay.
Yeah, whatever the heck it is, it refuses to die. Come on, immune systems, we can do this. We got it. Let's roll.
You get back in that cage until one of you doesn't come out.
Yeah. Let's make a choice here. Blech. Anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I've been going to the gym and I shoveled the driveway today, and et cetera, et cetera. So like I don't know, like I said, I'm like 90% better, but just it's stupid. I'm done talking about it. Too dumb.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So let's see. First thing we want to talk about today. What do we think?
I know
Last
you've watched Last of Us.
Last of Us.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. So my whole plan was I haven't been subbed to HBO for like months now because I was like, I have literally 11 things I'm subscribed to. I'm out. So I cut like 4 or 5 of them, and like HBO was one, and I was like, I'm fine. I don't need HBO. And then they were like, we're making a Last of Us show, and I'm like, oh no. And like maybe it'll be bad. And then everyone's like, it's really good, and I was like, oh no. Because if it was bad, I wouldn't have resubbed.
Right.
And all the critics were like, it's amazing. And I was like, I don't trust you critics. You guys lie all the time. You're getting paid by HBO and stuff. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah. So I didn't trust the critics, but it came out on Sunday, and I waited for people that I knew to watch it and give their reactions, and they were all very positive. And I was like, crap. All right, it's fine. So I re-upped on HBO, and they're like, you can get an ad version of HBO for $9 a month. And I was like, are you? No, I'm not paying $9 a month to watch ads. What is wrong with you people? It's so stupid. So like for $15, you can have no ads. And I was like, it should be free with ads, or you pay for no ads. I feel like that's how this should work.
I mean, it's how the YouTube model works, and they seem like they make money.
Yeah, they're doing great.
So I don't think HBO should be able to get away with charging you $120 a year and still serving you ads. So
Yeah, Hulu does the same thing, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Netflix does the same thing as well.
Yeah. Oh, Netflix recently did that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, I'm okay with ads. I am. If you give me free content and you want to pay for it with advertising, thumbs up. But if I am paying you and there's ads, that's morally reprehensible.
You know,
It's
like
not okay.
how you go to the movies and you pay for your ticket and then you get in there and there's a bunch of ads for other movies.
Yes. That's why I show up 20 minutes late to the film, so I skip all that stuff.
Okay. But what about
You're right. They try it there too.
What about all the ads in the movies? Or movies that are ads, like Transformers?
Stuff with product placement. Yeah.
You're paying for ads at some point in your life. There's no completely getting away from it.
Yeah, you're right. But I'm trying to take a moral stand here.
Oh,
and
no,
you're right.
I get it.
Sometimes it's easier than others, but anyway, enough ranting about that. So I turned it on, and it's great. It's really good. There's just this list of things that are in favor here, right? First of all, it's an HBO production, and HBO. I was gonna say their productions are always to a certain level of quality, but then Velma came out and everybody hates it. So I don't know if they quite have the same standard anymore. But
Mm,
everything before Velma has been really good. And like even if it's not game changing, like Sopranos was game changing, The Wire was game changing, Game of
mhm.
Thrones was game changing. Even if it's not that, it's still pretty good. Like I
Right.
watched Perry Mason on there last year, and yeah, it's not, it didn't change the world and it wasn't the most popular show ever, but it just had a certain level of competence to it that it
Sure.
was the HBO quality. So that was one thing. Number 2, Pedro Pascal's in it. I love him. Number
Did they
3,
put him in a helmet? That's what I really want to know. Did they put
he's
him in a
not
helmet?
wearing a helmet.
Oh, then I'm
No.
not watching it.
Yeah. Fair. You only like the Pedro who's helmeted. I
Yeah.
understand this.
I was cheering for the mountain when he got his eyes crushed out. Like, you should have worn a helmet.
Would have totally saved you in this very specific situation, man. Come on. But yeah, that's why he wears a helmet, because of what happened to him in Game of Thrones. Good call. Some continuity here, totally. Yep.
Hmm.
Anyway, Pedro's in there. The writer from Chernobyl, like the dude who wrote every episode of Chernobyl, which is the best thing I saw in 2019.
Hmm.
HBO's like, hey, come write this Last of Us for us, and he's like, okay. It's like, oh, that's awesome. I'm down. I support that. So anyway, so
Hmm.
there's just all this stuff going for it, but that doesn't mean it's going to work. There's been plenty of projects that have had a lot of stuff going for it and failed anyway because this is hard.
Hmm.
And the other thing is adapting video games. There is a scale here. Like certain games, adapting them to a TV show is going to be easier than others. Like adapting something like, I don't know, Pac-Man to a TV show is like, I don't know
Yeah.
if this is going to be great. But The Last of Us is structured as a TV show. It's got like effectively has seasons. It's got parts in it. It's got individual chapters, which are like episodes. So it's really more narratively focused compared to most other video games. So it's got that going for it, which is nice.
Okay.
Anyway. Anywho, long story short, it was great. They changed some stuff, but again, you have to change some stuff when you're adapting from video game to TV show. I understand that, but no, they didn't change enough to where it felt like a different thing.
What did they
There,
change?
just they spend more time before the zombie outbreak. In the
Okay.
game, it's
It's
like you
literally
get
like
10
10
minutes.
minutes. Yeah. I played up to the zombie outbreak of Last of Us. So.
Yeah, right. So they're like, this is Joel. This is his daughter. They love each other. Zombies.
Watch his daughter die.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is such a crazy emotional moment. And it's nuts because you've known this character for like 10 minutes. I don't know. They're good.
Hmm.
They're good at what they do. So in this one, it's not like the whole 90-minute first episode is devoted to pre-zombie outbreak. So, but
Hmm.
it was longer. Like we spend time with Sarah when she's in school. We watch her make breakfast for her Joel because it's his birthday. We see what she does after school. She gets his old watch fixed. She goes to hang out at the neighbors. Like we spend a bunch of time with her. Like maybe even 30, 40 minutes. Like, we're double, tripling the time you were spending with Sarah.
Mm.
So we just get to know her a little bit better, spend some more time with her, see her relationship with Joel.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, and then, yeah, and I really, really like how they did. It's, again, it's like a 30-minute time span, but I really like how they did kind of the slow boil rise of the outbreak.
Mhm.
Because it's not like everything's fine and bam, now there's zombies. It's like
Right.
everything's fine, but like there's some fighter jets flying overhead in formation. It's like that's a little bit weird. And there's 3 ambulances driving down the street. And the family at the watch repair store that she goes to is kind of like heightened on alert, and like they basically push her out after the watch is fixed and say we're closed for the day. Like they're super antsy. And then there's this news of something happening in Indonesia that nobody really knows what's going on there.
Why are the watch people antsy? Like, emergency services and military personnel have
Mhm.
what I would say is describe as distinct lines of communication about global events that I don't think the watch repair family down the road would be as keyed into. So while I can understand the other ones being slightly more active in a than normal in an area, which is gives you the setting of like a slow zombie apocalypse, a random
Mhm.
family being like, we're on edge because there might be something happening, but we're still gonna do our jobs and then like kick you out. It's I don't understand that one. Sell it to me a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They don't tell you. Like the guy who's actually doing the watch repair, he
Hmm.
seems pretty chill. But then his wife comes in and she's amped. She's like, "Okay, like we're done now. Sorry, you got to go."
She's
And
like,
he's
this
like,
homeless man on the street just bit me.
"Yeah, maybe." But I don't know. I mean, you can come up with your own story, right? Maybe they got a phone call from someone in a city where it's already begun, right?
Mm,
Like maybe they've got
yeah,
relatives in Boston or in Los Angeles and they called and they're like something crazy is happening.
maybe.
Button up, get out of town, right?
Mm.
So I don't know. It's a good question.
Okay.
And then so there's the neighbors. It's an older couple, like maybe in their 80s, and
Mm-hmm.
then they're living with their daughter who's in her 60s, right?
Right.
And the grandma there, the mom there,
Mm-hmm.
she's basically non-communicative. She just kind of sits in her chair and doesn't
Rocks
speak
back
or
and
make eye
forth.
contact with anyone. She doesn't really move. Like, we see her a couple times, and, like,
Mm-hmm.
her husband is trying to feed her, and she's just like, nothing. Her mouth isn't moving, she's not chewing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like she is gone, right?
Right.
So, there's all this stuff, and I mean, we know what it is because we played the video game, and additionally, the show actually starts with something that's not in the game. It's kind of a news interview program from the 60s where they explain the concept of the fungal infection with ants,
Mm-hmm.
where the fungus takes over the ant, takes over its brain, makes it do what the fungus wants it to do,
Mm-hmm.
and then the end of its life cycle, it makes it climb up onto a grass stalk at
Ooh.
night so that a bird will come eat it. So it can
Right.
continue the life cycle. It's bonkers, bananas, scary stuff, right?
Which is a real thing, by the
Yeah, which they did not
way.
make up. That is something that happens in nature because nature be scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a scene where Sarah's hanging out at the neighbors after school because Joel's working, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's looking through their DVD collection. So we've got her face looking through the DVDs. We're watching her, not looking at the DVDs. And behind her is the invalid grandma.
Mm-hmm.
She's just like sitting there. She's out of focus, which actually kind of makes it more interesting. She's out of focus, and then she like convulses, like has a seizure,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody notices because she's not making any noise really. And
Mm-hmm.
you can't quite see it because again, she's out of focus in the background, and the thing in focus is Sarah.
Right.
Um, yeah. So something happens with her. It's really unsettling. And then yeah, and then from there we basically get to the point where Sarah wakes up in the middle of the night,
Mm-hmm.
and then she's trying to figure out what's going on. And her dad's gone. And this is new too. She goes to the neighbor's house because their dog is
Mm-hmm.
at her door, like scratching and
Okay.
clawing and whining. And
Mm-hmm.
like, she's like, "What's going on with you? Let's get you home." Right. And so she tries to get the dog to go home and he won't go in the house. And
Okay.
you're like, okay, don't go in the house. If the dog doesn't want to go in the house, don't
Right.
go in the house. But she does because, she's in a TV show and she doesn't have a super high sense of preservation.
Mm-hmm.
But she goes in there and the husband's been killed and the old lady invalid mom is feeding on her daughter in the kitchen. And
Okay.
it's like, holy crap. So Sarah bails, and of course the timing is perfect. Joel and his brother Tommy drive up
Mm-hmm.
at that moment, like they're coming home and they drive past the neighbors and they see Sarah running out of the house and they're like, "Oh, this is bad." And then Joel kills the old lady with a wrench. So
Hmm.
it's a good start.
Mm-hmm.
Get everything moving.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So from there, it's pretty much the same thing in the game. You're just trying to get out of town and you can't. The roads are blocked. Everything's going crazy. There's people turning all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
They do a plane crash though,
Oh.
which is kind of nuts. Like you see a couple flights flying low, like commercial airliners flying low, and you're like, that's real bad. And then one of them just like in the background is pinwheels, kills a bunch of people. Pretty nuts.
Okay, it's not like Breaking Bad, where they're like, we're gonna have a plane crash and it's gonna land directly in front of the main character's house. That kind of thing,
Right.
where it's like, well, what are the odds? You know.
I don't think so. I mean, the plane crashes in the background,
In the
right? So
background.
they're driving down the main street. I don't know, some kind of main street in Austin,
Mm-hmm.
in Texas, and behind them, there's a plane that comes into view, just like not a great angle for staying in the air, and just
Okay.
crashes and burns, right?
Right. Does it explode?
So yeah.
Okay. Jet fuel doesn't explode. Okay.
You can't melt steel beams.
Well, it doesn't need to melt them, but that's a completely different argument.
Yes.
I was just listening to like an aeronautical podcast, and the kind of fuel that they put in planes burns but doesn't explode. So, you know, which is why there was no giant fireball at 9/11, because it doesn't explode but it burns.
I mean, there wasn't a giant fireball in 9/11.
I mean, not like an explosion like there is in a TV show. There's the two different things. There's an explosion of like debris and crap because it's a fast-moving plane hitting something. But
Yeah.
the gasoline, or the fuel, doesn't combust in one giant fireball like it does in a TV show, because they do that for TV because it looks good.
Yeah. Hang on a second. I'm remembering there was a Boeing cargo plane that stalled out and crashed, and they got it on video back in 2013.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm going to watch it here and see if there's an explosion when it hits the ground. So what happened was some of the cargo in the back broke loose and screwed up the balance.
Mm-hmm.
Fireball. What are you talking about?
What do you mean fireball?
Here, watch it.
Let me see.
Okay. It's not.
Is it a fireball explosion or is it engulfed in fire? Because those are two different things.
I don't know. Watch it. You tell me. It's really unnerving the way it's moving. You never see planes move like this.
Yeah, that's it. Definitely stalling.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's got way too much weight in the back, and it's just like pushing the tail down. Yeah, no, that's not
bad.
good.
Real bad.
I would say that's engulfing in flames is the
it feels like we're splitting hairs here a little bit.
Well, okay, if you throw a cup of gasoline and it's on fire, is that an explosion? Right? That's the difference that I'm getting here.
That column of fire is
right, because you're hitting the ground with a lot of force. It throws the combustibles all over the place.
Okay, fine. I don't think this really matters. We're gonna move on.
No.
So yes, the plane in The Last of Us crashes, and there is fire, and there is debris being flung everywhere. So, ta-da! Nailed it.
Cool.
Yeah. So then, blah blah blah. They try to get out, but all the roads are blocked, and they head a direction where there's a military blockade, and then the military soldier gets an order to kill them because apparently there's a standing order to kill any civilians that are trying to leave the city, which is like, holy crap! This is like hour 4 of this thing. Yeah, and then Sarah dies, and then Tommy saves Joel, and then we cut 20 years into the future, and we're at the bad times. The end.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I am just looking at the Wikipedia page for this, and
for which?
For The Last of Us.
And
there was a line here that I was looking at who was playing Ellie, and there's a line here that after watching Ramsay's audition tape, they reached out to David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, showrunners from Game of Thrones, in which Ramsay had starred, who assured them of her talent, which is why she secured the role less than a month after her audition. So that's who they went to vouch for. Which was like, oh.
It makes sense. It's what she was doing.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I was like, not who I was expected to see in association with the show, you know?
Yeah. Well, they weren't exiles yet, so
Mm.
maybe they were. I don't know. Anyway.
But it's not like they reached out to anyone else that she had worked with. They went to them.
I don't know, maybe they did.
And
Maybe they reached out to Benioff and Weiss. Who knows?
Maybe. Who knows?
Who knows? So yeah, I don't know. We just spent a little bit more time in the quarantine zone in Boston too, just kind of showing day-to-day life, what's going on. Joel's dealing opiates as like a side gig. So
Okay.
that's exciting. Yeah. Apparently, I don't know. It was kind of interesting bit of a world building. They got a factory. It says they got a factory up and running in Atlanta, and all they're producing is basically prescription drugs and guns and bullets. So it's like, okay, that's what the future is all about, I guess.
Yep.
After a zombie apocalypse. Yeah, so the pacing's good. Again, they just do a bunch of world building in it. And an interesting difference, too, is that by the time... So Joel and Tess, who's played by Anna Torv, leave the quarantine zone. They smuggle themselves out with Ellie.
Sure.
And by the time they get to that point in the game, Joel's killed like 25 people and like 10 zombies because it's a video game and they need action, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the show, he hasn't killed any. We haven't seen him kill anybody. We haven't seen him fight any zombies at all. And I feel like that was an intentional choice and a smart choice, because if we meet him and he's just immediately like gunning people down left and right for the first 30 minutes we know him, it's like, okay, it's a little bit harder to relate to somebody like this in a TV show setting. Whereas in a video game, it's like, yeah, whatever, this is me. This is what I need to be murdering people to be having fun here, right? So they just do a better job being like, he's scary. Like through inference, they show and tell that Joel is basically feared by a lot of people in the city. So yeah, we know he's a scary dude. We don't see him do anything until after they've left the quarantine zone.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good. Very happy about it. Again,
do you know how many episodes it's gonna be?
I do not. It said it's going to be 2 seasons, but I don't know what that means for total episodes.
Google is saying 9.
9. So 9 per?
Quite possibly. So
I think that seems good for the first Last of Us game to get 18 total episodes.
Okay.
Because there are some distinct storylines that happen. But man, a lot of that game is just like, we're trying to go west and zombies keep attacking us, you know? So I don't know how much that runs for your TV show. It might get a little repetitive.
I'm looking at how long to beat. So The Last of Us is 15 hours.
Yeah. Wow.
So if
you're good. I remember always being out of bullets in that game, so I really struggled.
But it does say 17 and a half for the main story plus the side missions. So let's take that number. Which, 18 episodes of 1 hour each, right? I assume they're about an hour each?
Yeah, they're an hour. I mean, this one was longer, but the premieres often are.
Right. So
yeah,
that's going to map out pretty easily.
I think so.
Although if you're cutting a bunch of stuff, because obviously, like, you can't... The gameplay loop that is enjoyable for a player, like, kill zombies, sneak through, kill zombies, kill some people, sneak through, you can't do 6 episodes of that one after the other in the same way you can in a game. So, assuming they're going to cut a lot of that, they're going to have to introduce just as much more, which maybe that works like it does by giving Joel some more time with his daughter before she, like, immediately dies.
Right. And like I said, they do a bunch of stuff
Mm.
along the way. Like they'll run into a camp,
Hmm.
right? And they have to decide whether to trust the people or not. Crazy stuff happens there. There's one where Joel gets really sick
Hmm.
and Ellie's trying to take care of him and she gets kidnapped. And it's like, oh, that's not good. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's different things that happen along the way. They find Joel's brother Tommy at some point, and there's a whole storyline with him.
Hmm.
So it's not like they need to create stuff from whole cloth, but you're right. I think they're going to have to create some stuff from whole cloth because a bunch of the runtime of the game is definitely sneak around, try to avoid getting shot in the head by people in the trees, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough.
Righto. Ooh, there's a really good storyline too, where you meet this dad and his son
Hmm.
in a smaller town. And
Yeah.
that was a good one. There's a scene at the end of that storyline where I was just playing it one night when it came out in
Mm.
14 or whatever. And my ex was in the room and she hadn't really commented. She doesn't really have any thoughts about the games that I play really.
All right.
But after that, she said, I can understand now why people put video game voice acting on their resumes because that was amazing. She's like, before now, I didn't get it. But she's
Mm.
like, that was really, really good. And I was like, yeah, this is a great game. So,
Fair enough.
yeah, I'm excited. Looking forward to it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Something in a similar vein, which was I've been listening to the Siege of Terror novels, which it's the series of books to finish a series of books in Warhammer 40k about like the founding myths, which is the Horus Heresy and like how half of the
Oh, yeah.
Primarchs turned evil. And they
Yeah.
did like a 51 book series and said, "Shit, we still need to finish this. Let's do another series." And it's
Oh
gonna
my
be
gosh.
it's gonna be 9 books.
Oh
Only
my.
9 books just about what happens on Earth and like the final moments of the battle. Which I say final moments, it's like a 200 day siege or something. Um,
Okay. But relative to the entire lifespan of Warhammer, it's moments.
yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, the last book that came out, Echoes of Eternity, which the next one is supposed to be coming out end of next month, so I'm very excited for that. Was written by the guy who did Spears of the Emperor, which we read.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember. That was
Aaron
where they
Dembski
go
about
through
him. Yeah.
where they go through the warp
Yep.
and they meet up with the dudes on the other side and they're like, we thought you were all dead. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that story.
Yeah.
And he does this thing where he doesn't want to just hit all of the big moments. Like he says in an interview that he definitely wants to hit some big moments, but he doesn't enjoy just writing like the big stars and what they do. So he'll splice into the story just like little tidbits of like what a random person is doing. And so there's like this story about how this one guardsman meets up with a Skitarii, who's kind of like the equivalent level of the Mechanicus's ground troops, except
Yeah.
she's got a rad gun, and so she doesn't have the ability to speak. So she's got like this little, they call it a translate slug, and it can like light up with symbols basically. So she's like symbol for her, symbol for a gun, symbol for radiation, symbol for dead guy. And she's like, oh, he's like, oh, what? You'll kill me? Like, look, love, I'm gonna be dead in 2 weeks anyway, and you're gonna like, your gun's not gonna kill me. But then it has like this tiny little short story where they like fight for 2 weeks in this like shithole of a war on Earth, and like she's looking at him being like, I can see the radiation killing you. You need to leave. And he's like, nah, don't worry about it, love. Let's just get these last group of guys. Let's go. And he ends up being like stabbed with a flagpole and then cooked and eaten by some traders.
Oh, cooked alive or dead?
Who can tell? First one, then the other. But the Skitarii, interesting because they're basically vat-grown people who have no eyelids because the Mechanicus says, well, if you can't see for fractional of a second, you're not seeing on the battlefield. That's no good. So they remove all their eyelids.
Very Warhammer, yes.
Right, everything's very Warhammer. Their limbs are replaced with like pistons. They can't speak because it's inefficient, but they have like Vox communicators that can do binaric screeching, which is like
Uh-huh.
the Mechanicus Lingua Technis or whatever. And there's like just before like the final big battle of this book, the Primarch is giving some speech where you've come this far, everyone. If you want to leave, I give you permission. Like, if you want to run and hide. And it cuts to like 3 or 4 short stories about people who like tried to leave or what they went through to get here, finding the resolve to stay. And this one Skitari, this other Skitari, this not the same one as before, talks about how the Skitari don't have birthdays. They celebrate the day of their first combat.
Okay, I get that.
And they have this saying, which is like, it's always someone's birthday, right? Like, and that while they don't have personal possessions, a lot of gifts get given back and forth throughout like the combat squads or whatever, because they're not allowed to own anything of their own, really. And so she was talking about in her mind she's thinking, because obviously she can't talk, that it's her birthday, I can't leave, and nor would I anyway, as she talks about how everyone in her squad is dead, but the couple of other squads that she's been able to link up with and merge with still came to her on this day and gave her gifts. One of them gave her a fistful of loose ammunition. That's all he had.
Hot.
The other one gave her a new translator slug, because she had lost her old one. And one of them had given them a pebble from Mount Olympus Mons on Mars, because Mars is the domain of the machine god. So Mars is holy to them. And she's talking about this fucking pebble that she's got, and like how she and it's like the way this guy, it's also partially the voice acting for reading this audiobook, but the way that they made me feel about a skit who's this like vat grown baseline human kind of soldier that they are meant to be expendable. Like, they're not big
like
characters, they're not important, they're mass produced. And it's, oh god, the way that this guy is hitting me right in the feels about this character, looking up, getting gifts on her birthday as she knows she's about to die. Because they were like, well, all of our estimate projections for holding this part of the wall once we got here in the wall is about 3 hours, right? That's all we can hold for. And
but we did it.
But we did it. And so they're like, they're getting given the opportunity to leave, and she's like, I can't leave. These people, like, even in this war, we're still finding time to give each other birthday gifts. It was really heartwarming, and I loved that book because of it. And while obviously it's like book 7 in a book 9 series that follows a 51 book series, some of which are omnibuses, so there's a lot to read if you wanted to get up to that. So I don't recommend actually picking it up, because you'd be so lost. But
a lot of context.
Yeah, but it's got a lot of little, just tiny little side stories that are great like that. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, that's a sign of a good writer, where they can take kind of a nothing character and make you feel for him. So,
right,
that's
but
awesome.
It's also a combination with the voice acting, because it's an audiobook that I've been listening to, and that's why you reminded me of that.
Yeah,
particular. Just looping it all back together.
Voice acting.
Put that on our resume.
Totally. Totally. Well, good. Let's see. Oh, I did end up watching. Is it Buddy Daddies?
Buddy Daddies, yeah.
Dumb name.
It is. Yes.
I kind of hate it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. They're like, we are going to murder like 23 people in this episode, but also there's a 2-year-old running around. So enjoy that.
She's 6 or something. She's not 2.
No, you're right. You can speak too much to be 2.
She can get off the train and wander around Tokyo by herself.
That I was like, what is going on? Who was like, all right, little girl, get on the train and go find your dad. Bye.
Well, okay, so I have seen some YouTubers who make videos about Japan that going to school by yourself as a child is very normal. So
For sure.
for
I get it.
for a child to be like, all right, we're gonna leave you at the train station. Go to Tokyo. Here's like a book with an address. Go here. That they, she might be able to actually do it. It would not be an uncommon thing. It's wild, but So you only watched the first episode?
Yeah, because
No, that's fine.
2 was premium. Anyway.
Oh, okay. So you know how at the very end there's like here's a picture of her mom and her dad, and it's like, this is your kid, look after it, you know?
Yes.
Okay, so I did not realize, but that in that photo, that's not him. That's not this guy.
Okay.
So while I looked at it, I'm like, oh, okay, it's vaguely blonde or brownish haired anime man. That's her father. What a weird coincidence that she walked up to this building while he was doing a hit here. That's
Yeah,
strange.
I was like, does whoever sent her, do they have like super inside knowledge of the jobs that he's doing?
That could be a thing because there's that guy that's giving them jobs.
Yeah.
But no, she's actually the daughter of the mob dude they were there to hit. That's the guy. That's the guy in the picture.
Because he does look like our blonde assassin.
Yeah. And that's why she went to that building. They explained that in the second episode. I was like, wait, are they retconning things in episode 2? What is this?
Because it's more common knowledge that this big important boss dude is there.
Well, she had an address to go here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm just saying it makes more sense for someone to know that boss dude is there than it does for these assassins to be there.
Especially one with like who wants to have like a high profile party, and like his wife's apparently very demanding of that stuff that they go over. Yeah.
Okay. So holy crap. So they kill her dad in front of her.
Yeah.
Good start. Great start to this whole relationship.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow. That adds just a whole new level of darkness to this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. But did you like it? Did you like the show?
Yeah, it was fun. I like the music a lot. The characters are fun. The whole... I don't know. Like, the whole Bert and Ernie vibe of our two main characters has been done to death over centuries, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like, oh, fine. He's really emo and sad all the time and blah, blah, blah. And then his roommate's super chipper and happy and cooking and stuff. And it's just like, okay. Like, I understand what we're going for here, but can we maybe tone the whole thing down just a little bit? Just, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me to be like, yes, this crazy emo dude is actually a real person.
I don't know. He makes sense. He just like, he's not actually super emo. He just wants to like lay on the couch, smoke, and play video games. I know dozens of people like that.
Strays off the street. Okay, but how many dozens of those people are also incredibly competent hitmen?
At least one.
That's what I thought. Who can dodge automatic machine gun fire? He does so a couple times in the first episode.
Well, I mean, the show takes some artistic liberties in the combat. In the second episode, he's dodging automatic machine gun fire while shooting in return while being dragged back by someone who's running. Yeah. So it's actually fun, but sure, yeah, I get what you're saying.
And he does a no look around the corner, holding the gun upside down shot.
Yes.
It's just like, okay, so he's got supernatural powers with guns, and all he really wants to do is sit around and play video games and smoke and order stuff off Amazon.
Yeah.
Neat. Yeah.
I mean, there could be some supernatural stuff going on in this world. You don't know that there isn't. You don't know that there isn't.
You're absolutely right, but I don't feel like
there is. What a plot twist that'll be in like the final episode that like turns out they've all got like supernatural powers and like they've actually been like assassinating people who run a cult, trying to summon the demon lord.
Some people involved, in some worldwide mass conspiracy to summon some demon from hell. Yeah. That would be quite a twist. I agree. I might be okay with it at this point, honestly. I did like towards the end there when they bring the girl home.
Mm-hmm.
And then emo guy's like, so you can keep a little girl and I can't keep a cat?
Like,
fair point. I was like, yep, solid.
That's a good point. Oh man! And then he goes back around to like give the cat like to leave food in the cat's box as well.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's so sweet. And the cat wasn't there, but I was like half expecting him to get back to the apartment to find the emo guy's got the cat anyway. But he's been out and got it again. It's like, you get a child, I get a cat.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Mhm.
I was like, how heartless do you have to be to take a kitten,
Mm.
dump it in a box in an alley on December 24th, man, when it's actively snowing, and just be like, it'll be fine. I'll put a scarf around it. It'll be fine. I was like, you are murdering this cat.
No, I don't know.
So just like the odds of that cat surviving, not good.
I mean, there are wild cats all over the place, and you know, December wasn't that long ago, and I think it could survive based on my Decembers.
Again, Northern Hemisphere, it's snowing, it's Omicron. There's actively snow falling from the sky in this episode. Look, I'm just saying. Like,
someone found that cat.
Or it ran off and got hit by a car. We don't know.
Well, then it's living fine in a fantasy world, and it'll have its own isekai anime next season.
Yes, maybe. You know what? That's one of the better possible outcomes for this poor thing. I was just like, oh, look, I don't know, take it to a shelter or something. You can't just. If it was a full-grown cat, I'd feel better about just dumping it in that box. But it was a kitten. It was tiny. Yeah. Whatever. And he's like, I'm feeling kind of bad about this. Have a scarf. He's like, now I feel better. Dude, honestly.
Super cute, though.
So cute. Cutest little kitten. He just has no second thoughts.
You gotta get Cinnamon a scarf. Just a little one. Come on. Come on.
Wrap her in a scarf. She would hate that. She hates having anything like on
covering
her. Yeah.
Get a high with catnip first. You know, just drug your cat, Falcon. Come on.
That's a thing. You're kind of roboting me a little bit. Is your little bit okay? Yeah.
It seems fine.
Okay.
I haven't dropped any frames, so
good. Yeah. So anyway, it's fun. Although, so they make this whole point of like, we can't have a cat because we might die out there. And it's like, excellent argument, sir. You make good points. And then he's like, we're going to keep a little girl. And I'm like, yeah, but you still might die out there, you guys. What happened to that point you made 20 minutes ago?
So I will counterpoint with this is a human being. They cannot just put it in a box out in an alleyway. There's not a shelter they can go to for a cat. So for a kid, you know.
I'm sure in Japan you can go to the police station and be like, this little girl was wandering around an office building.
And they'll be like, can we see some ID? Oh, you're that wanted hitman.
Okay, then you just have someone else to do it.
Put her in an Uber.
A ton of money. Yeah, put her in an Uber. Send her to the police station. Say that she needs help somehow.
She doesn't have any money. He got honeypotted by the ladies at the gambling establishment.
Oh my gosh, you're right. That was so funny. I was like, are these prostitutes? And then I was like, oh no, it's worse.
Uh-oh.
It's so much worse. They took everything from him.
I mean, okay, so your video is freeze, so you're a little robot for me.
Something's not happy here.
Yeah, something's not great. But don't forget that when the guy at the cafe was like, here's the money, your partner's shares in there as well. So he lost all of his money too. That's a fun fact. Gambling leads to...
Hang on, I'm going to disconnect, reconnect.
Go for it. Oh, no, my face. It's split. Okay. Yeah. How y'all doing? Doing okay? Falcon's not here. We can talk shit about him. What do you want to say? Oh, he might be back. Shh. Falcon? Oh, I see you.
You're still roboting on me.
Yeah, but you're better.
Okay. Oh, you're good.
Good.
Whatever.
Wild.
Okay, so sorry, what were you saying about money?
The money. Okay, so when he goes to pick up the money from the guy at the cafe, the guy at the cafe goes, all the money for your partner's shares in there too. So when he
Yeah.
gets taken in and loses literally the shirt off his back, he loses all of his partner's money as well.
Oh, that's worse. That whole thing is not great. It's really
Yeah,
bad. It's played
this
funny,
guy,
but it's not good.
it's not good. This guy is not responsible enough to look after a cat, let alone a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was interesting. That was an interesting little hook too, right? Where it's like, okay, partner wants to send at least some of the money that he earns to somebody else, and they refuse to accept it. And they refuse to accept it for a long time because this drawer is full of these envelopes, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Yep.
Yeah. So we'll see.
It's
It was
good.
fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Gonna keep watching.
Probably.
Okay. Cool. There is another show that I just found because I was rechecking the releases. That looks like it might be the more serious and could like of the new shows might be the one that's actually doing something original. Not to say that Hitman looking after a kid isn't original, but
yeah.
you know it's not the 10th isekai out this year. You know, and it's January 19th. It's 18th. Anyway, so apparently humanity, like the entire planet, is a snowball, and humanity is trying to survive in the Great Snow Sea. God, my like block sinuses are making that word hard. But basically, from what the look like, I haven't watched the first episode, and I meant to do it before the show started, but my headphones died. It looks like it might be humanity surviving in like an ice planet, kind of like apocalypse. It might be a more serious new original show, you know?
Yeah.
So
Okay. Post-apocalyptic stuff is usually pretty interesting.
Usually.
Mhm.
So I've got my fingers crossed on that. I'm gonna watch it today.
Yeah, let me know.
Other than that, of all the other shows I listed that I picked up, none of them had done anything remotely remarkable so far. Yeah, some of them I'm just really struggling to even get through because I really can't care. Like I just, even though I like the genre and typically some of these genres do interesting things to separate themselves, like they're really not trying anymore.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
That's disappointing.
it is. You have no idea.
Ah, well, that's why there's a lot. There's a lot of anime, so that there could be good ones and bad ones.
That's true.
Yeah.
Ooh. So is that it for what we've been watching?
I think so. Now that I'm back at the gym, I've been watching the Jack Ryan show, so that's still going.
Jack Reacher?
No, it's Jack Ryan. So Jack Ryan is from the Tom Clancy novels.
Okay.
So I mean, he wrote those in like the 80s,
Right.
early 90s, something like that. A bunch of his books have been made into movies. They're really popular. It's like political espionage, thriller, military stuff.
Right. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Hunt for Red October is a Tom Clancy book.
Oh yeah.
Some of All Fears. So really successful. And yeah. So I don't know. Every once in a while, like there was a movie with the Jack Ryan character with Chris Pine a few years ago that didn't do very well. So they just keep rebooting the source material and trying to get something that sticks. So this is one that Amazon's doing with Paramount. John Krasinski starring as Jack Ryan.
Okay.
And yeah, so in this season, there is this group in Eastern Europe who's trying to provoke a war between the US and Russia.
Okay.
So basically, they've managed to acquire enough uranium to build a nuke, like a smaller nuke. And their plan is to launch it at Russia and try to blame it on the US.
Ah.
So that's exciting stuff. and Jack Ryan is trying to stop it, but then the government thinks that he's a traitor, and so they're trying to catch him too. Just another added level of
Hmm.
excitement there.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was just like, I was wondering how did they get their hands on uranium, and
Uranium and stuff.
so I just looked it up. You can buy uranium on Amazon.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what makes it hard to build a nuke. Like, are there
My understanding, it's the enrichment. So the
knowing how?
yeah, well, you need an enrichment center. So basically, you need access to a nuclear facility, something that you can place the fissile material under. Like I just want to say like enrichment environmental circumstances, but I have once upon a time watched a video about how nuclear reactors work, and basically you just need the protons or whatever bouncing off it and getting it to the right isotope. So you need to enrich basic uranium into 256, I think it is, and then you can once you've got that, you can put it in a bomb. At that point, it's not hard.
Okay. Yeah. So it's about the know-how and the tools required to do it. Like,
Right.
that's the barrier for most people.
Yeah.
Trying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, they probably did that.
Yeah. I'm just like, wow, that feels very. Apart from like the nukes, like the small Eastern European country is in the middle of a between a war between Russia and the US, and like other superpowers. Oof, that seems familiar.
It's been done before. It's true.
Feels topical. In some ways, I'm deeply uncomfortable with.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's a good point. I think if this is airing now, they must have been filming it
Last year?
most at the possible possibly most recent time would be last year.
Well, they couldn't have filmed it this year.
Yeah.
We're 18 days in, so it had to be a year. It could have been the year before, but even then, like you're like, it's the same thing. Like, it doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
Because stuff over there has been going on for longer than a year.
Yeah, that's true. When did the whole Ukrainian invasion happen? Google says
I would go all the way back to like when Crimea got annexed.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so that's like 2012.
Yeah, 2014.
Yeah.
Like I would kind of start it from there. Obviously, it's a lot colder of a war then, but that was still
For sure.
Russia coming in and being like, "This is ours now."
Yeah. I mean, sure. And that's the other thing is the concept of Russia or the USSR being at conflict with the US is something that's been going on for a very, very, very long time now.
Yeah.
Like there are at least 2 or 3 different books that Tom Clancy wrote to deal with. Specifically, one I remember, Red Storm Rising is particular about modern day Russia and the US conflicting, and there's another one. What's the Cardinal book that takes place when the USSR is a thing? Cardinal of the Kremlin. That was a really good one. So that takes place during the 80s. And actually was written during the Cold War. So
okay.
So he was writing what he knew. So yeah, the whole conflict, not a new thing. So nobody came up with anything new when they wrote this season of the Jack Ryan. Although I don't know, it's a bit of an interesting twist to be like there's a third party who wants them to go to war with each other and will benefit from that in some way. So yeah, trying to figure out who that is and what they'd benefit from and everything else.
Are they this group? Are they like small or are they powerful?
Yeah, so we don't know everybody who's behind it yet, but the people that we do know were like bigwigs in the USSR and had a ton of cash and power squirreled away and a ton of contacts.
So this isn't like the terrorists that kill the Doc in Back to the Future. Like these aren't just like dudes in a van. These are people.
These are people with a ton of money and contacts and power and influence and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to pull this off.
Right. I'm trying to get a feel for it.
Fair.
Yeah.
So that's been good. I mean, I don't know. It's just stuff that I watch when I'm on the treadmill has to fit a certain threshold of like action and interest for me. So it's not something I would probably watch just normally, but
Okay.
it's a good treadmill show for sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. How is the Terry the Overlord shirt going?
Good.
Excellent.
It's going well. Approximately 9 people have purchased at least one.
That's pretty good.
Some people have picked up the mug I also made for it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the first person who ordered it, who was in Germany, put the wrong address. So it's being like the first person to order it will not be the first person to get one, because it's heading back because they gave the wrong address. And I'll need to figure out something with that person.
Okay.
Yeah, but please put the right address, people, and the right name.
Tip.
Please do not max out the name slot. 32 letters is the
beyond,
most.
Yeah, don't go beyond the name slot somehow.
Just first and last name only. Not all the title. Like, imagine like Daenerys Targaryen first of a name, still on board, breaker of chains. Don't put all that. Don't put all that on there. It's too much.
Unnecessary. But yeah, FalconPaladin.store got some new hot merch out there, so check it out.
Yes.
Help support the podcast as well, so extra motivation. All right, cool. So I think that's going to be it from us.
Yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up.
Awesome. So that has been Somicron and Falcon Paladin with another edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour. Thanks for hanging out. Again, you can support the podcast at falconpaladin.store, buying merch, and also at patreon.com/Somicron.
True facts.
We'll be here every Tuesday in the US, every Wednesday if you're in Australia, but it's the same time because time zones. Check us out. Watch us live at twitch.tv/Somicron. Also, we are on YouTube. Search Falcon Paladin Hour. We're there as well. Pretty easy to find. If you want the visual VODs of the whole experience, you can watch us robot out in real time.
Wow, I don't think I was roboting out because it picks up.
You can watch me robot out in real time.
Yeah, watch you robot out in time, and then me not notice for a second and keep talking to myself.
Yes, which is very entertaining stuff.
Yeah.
Clip that, put it on Twitter.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. So that's again it from us. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And until next week, you take care of yourself. Goodbye.